Yeah. All right. We've been talking about this for 25 minutes. Let's keep it pushing. We always do this, man. Let's get into some value dogs, and maybe we'll talk some more Seahawks in that discussion. But for now, let's hop into that. Week 16 NFL value dogs. John, last week I think was our worst week of value dogs we ever had. We both went 0-3 to bring us to me 16-29. John, you got 3 games further from your 500 goal, and you are 20-25. But because of that, we've got 3 weeks left, and I can still tie it. You didn't pull away. So
that's so brutal. I can't believe we both got offered.
I know, it's tough. Granted, only 5 of the 16 games that were played had the underdogs cover. So not great odds, but we still should have gotten at least 1 or 2. Puts underdogs at 47.5% covering on the season. So still below average, which is, not what we're expecting, obviously, from this segment. But with that, John, do you want first pick or do you want me to take first pick? I think I had it last week. You have first pick this week.
Okay, all right. Twist my arm. Okay, this week, Value Dogs pick number 1, pardon me. I think it's time. This line just seems a little weird to me. I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers +1 against the Miami Dolphins. I, to be honest, don't really understand this one. I do understand that the Niners are kind of cratering. I guess maybe that's the explanation right there. Yeah. But this Dolphins team is not good. This Dolphins team just got kind of embarrassed this last week. Tua is a bad quarterback. He's a mediocre quarterback. How about that? Very mid. Their defense sucks. The Niners are beat to absolute hell, but they still have talent at positions out there. Purdy still should be suiting up for this game. They should still have, Debo and Kittle out there if nobody else. I just trust the infrastructure more. I think I trust Shanahan head and shoulders above Mike McDaniels. So this one doesn't make sense. I'm taking the Niners.
That's fair. I think it's a game that concerns me, but obviously like the 49ers and Dolphins, either of these teams can win this game. It's obviously the line's at 1. So it's like either of these teams can win this game. You're just taking the team with points and the team with, I think, a longer track record, So yeah. I support that. It's not on my list, but that's okay with me. With my first pick in the Week 16 Sound Up Seattle Value Dogs, I'm going to take the Broncos +2.5 against the Chargers. The Chargers proved to me last week that Justin Herbert being injured or at least hobbled is a huge flaw for them. They gave up 40 points, I believe, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Broncos aren't going to put up 40. They're not Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, but they are going to put up 25, and I think this Chargers team is just not potent enough right now with the way that Justin Herbert is playing injured to compete with this Broncos team. And I think the Chargers are 8-6. They're actually setting themselves up so that the Bengals can still make the playoffs. That's what the NFL really wants to happen. They want Joe Burrow in the playoffs. So I'm going with the storyline here. Chargers are going to miss the playoffs after being 8-5. Broncos will win this one.
I like it. I like it a lot. 2 good teams taking the team with the points. Two good teams with question marks, and you're taking the team with the points. Well, worth noting, just for our ongoing Bo Nix discussion, Bo Nix sucked last week, which is very validating for me personally. But that does not affect the greater conversation about these 2 teams. I think that's completely fair. With my second pick of the draft, I am taking the Jacksonville Jaguars +1 against the Raiders. Ding, 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 ding. That's the bell I ring when I pick a team for the first time in a given season. It is week 16, and this is the first time I'm shouting out Jacksonville. The reasons for me is very simple. The Raiders are tied for the longest losing streak in the NFL with the New York Giants. Neither one of them have won a game since October, I think it is. They're both lost at least like 7 or 8 straight. And Jacksonville's peaking under Mac Jones is what I'll say. Obviously,
I was going to say, yeah, peaking is a strong one.
Yeah, it under the Mac Jones experiments with Trevor Lawrence out for the season. This is the best they've looked. He's finally figured out, and as a dynasty owner of Brian Thomas Jr., I really appreciate that he's finally figuring out that BTJ is one of the best weapons in the NFL. Really fed him the ball last week. Obviously had a monster game. And is just playing with a little more confidence. I mean, he's Mac Jones. We'll be excited when he's back on the bench, but while he's in, he's finally starting to use some of these pretty talented Jacksonville weapons. Travis Etienne is playing the best he's played since early in the season. I thought he was dead. I sent roses to his family. They must think that's kind of weird now. I thought he was gone. But it's good to see that he's back. I just think this Jacksonville team has more offensive talent, more defensive talent. I think they want it more. The Raiders are in full tank mode. They're going for Shedeur Sanders. I don't like picking my second +1 line already. The whole point of points is to get points, but I just think that everything is pointing to a Jacksonville win here.
I respect that a lot. I think the Raiders quarterback is going to be Desmond Ridder, if I'm not mistaken. Mac Jones versus Desmond Ridder. What a game. Are we going to watch that one?
I wish it was in
London. Should we throw that one up on the big TV?
I wish it was in London so I could wake up at 6 a.m. just to watch, I want that one all by itself.
Yeah, we need that. That should be the Sunday night game, honestly. Tankathon is real right now.
Very real.
But you're right. I think the Jaguars are poised to win this game just purely based off their talent. The question is, can the Raiders feed Brock Bowers enough? And the answer is no. Like they could give the Brock Bowers the ball 37 times in this game, and that would be their way to success. The rest of that doesn't really matter. But if they do feed Brock Bowers, they might win. If they don't, and they just kind of decide to throw in the towel, this is a game the Jaguars should handily win.
Agreed. One note on that, just because I also love Brock Bowers. The dude's an absolute stud. It's kind of tough being a number 1 tight end on a team with very little quarterback and receiving help, because it's easy to feed Justin Jefferson. Throw the ball deep downfield. But with a tight end, it's much more like if you get a good tight end in a good system, he's like unstoppable. But when the whole defense can just be like, okay, we're not going to let you throw to the middle of the field on seam routes. That's why he's a guy that he'll either have 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, or he'll have 15 yards on 6 catches, because if you just game plan for him, he's gone. So, yeah. Do me a favor, 100%. Jacksonville. Put together a game plan.
It's tough to ask Doug Peterson that, but we'll see if that actually comes together.
Fair enough.
All right. This is my second pick, right?
Correct.
I'm going to reserve the right with this pick. It is very, very conditional, but I believe that George Pickens is playing according to one of my fantasy teams. He still has points. He's not doubtful for this week. So I'm going to take the Steelers +6 against the Ravens. This one, the Steelers obviously won the first matchup and proved that they know how to handle the Ravens. Again, it's an in-division matchup in the AFC North. These are all just like rock fights. Any of these games are going to be tooth and nail scratching at each other. And so I think the Steelers have a good chance, especially if Pickens plays. They've proven that he is actually a very valuable piece to that roster. And I think without him, it looks a little rough because they just don't have any other receiving weapons and they kind of have to just run the ball. But if he's there, especially against this Ravens defense, I could see the Steelers winning this game again, another 18-12 type game.
Well, that's great. I love that.
It's also
pick.
6 points.
Yeah. Okay, so I have 5 quick points on that. 1, 6 points is way too many. All the Steelers do is play close games. Make it less than 3, or it doesn't make sense. Great pick. 2, they literally won this matchup before. Why are they +6? 3, George Pickens he is very talented. He's also, they should create their own category of wide receivers. It's like wide receiver 1- C, where it's guys like him and DK Metcalf, where they will have games where you're like, this is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. And then they'll have other weeks where they're like, does this guy professionally play football? And that's all they do, is they either look like one of the best or they look like trash. Just a note. 4, I'm not going to remember my 5th point, but 4, I love the idea of a guy's questionable, he's doubtful, we don't really know where he is. We go to ESPN Fantasy Football and we look for points next to their name. They have more information than us. He's got the Q, but he's still got points. He has the Q, but he doesn't have points. They know something I don't. He's going to play or he's not. Anyway, I just love that. Great pick. I'm going to let you have it all to yourself, though, because...
Wow, you didn't want the Steelers +6. I'm shocked, actually.
Honestly, it was one I was looking closely at, but I want to pick a funner one, which is my Carolina Panthers +4.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. Couple things here. 1, last week was the first time the Panthers had been favored to win a game since 2022, I think.
Really?
It had been an insane stretch of games where they were underdogs. And so obviously everyone was so excited, and then they got stomped by the Cowboys because they'd been playing a little above their skis, and then everyone wanted to bet on them, and it all came back. Now everybody's out on them again. Everybody and their mother's going to be betting on Cardinals after last week's performance. This Panthers team has been getting better and better every week. Last week was a hiccup. It was a big misstep for sure. But their trajectory is going the right direction. Cardinals are probably going the other way. 4.5 points is a lot of points. Give me the Panthers.
Cardinals at the end of the season might get rid of Kyler Murray. That's just like where the Cardinals are at as a franchise. Like they might need to rebuild their whole thing and just, MHJ on the sides and get a new quarterback, all that stuff.
The problem is it's not a great quarterback draft, but
yes.
If this was last year's draft, they should have been tanking a month ago, but maybe wait one more year, see if you can go get Arch or somebody like that. I should also say, I don't know the uniform matchups, but if the Panthers go with their black and sky blues and Arizona goes with their white and reds, it's my favorite uniform matchup in the NFL.
As a side note, I think the black uniforms in general, like all the teams that have black uniforms, they look sick every time. Like there's not a single one that looks bad. The colors, they're like accent colors of every single team, whether it's red or freaking action green, whatever it is, they all look super cool. It doesn't matter what it is.
It does look very cool. I'm with you on that.
So I like that line. I think all the reasons that you listed, I think are good reasons to bet on the Panthers. Also, 4.5. Whether 4.5 is a lot of points. You can still lose by 4. You've got some range there.
Yeah, not only the field goal, but the touchdown field goal difference can also get you the win there. I like that.
Yeah. All right, with my third and final pick of Week 16's NFL, Sound Up Seattle Value Dogs. I'm torn right now. I got two picks that are very tight, and they kind of swung in opposite directions between when I started this and when I wrote down my notes and between when we recorded this. So I'm going with the one that I was more skeptical about at the start, but I'm happy with it now. The Texans plus 3.5 against the Chiefs. You get the full field goal here. The other line that I had was the Seahawks and Vikings, and that moved from 3.5 to 3. I want that extra half point. The Texans, they haven't looked great all season. CJ Stroud has been kind of subpar in his sophomore season. And I think they lost Will Anderson early on too. Like they've been just a little battered and bruised. But Nico Collins has looked really good the last little bit. The Chiefs, obviously Mahomes got a little beat up this last weekend. And so in this, I'm, crossing my fingers for the Value Dogs, not for the Chiefs fans or anything else, but I'm crossing my fingers that Mahomes does not play this week. They've already solidified, they're going to win the AFC West and everything like that. So I think this is Texans plus 3.5 is a fun line, and I'm taking it.
Yeah, Chiefs scare me, but they do have a nasty tendency of winning close games, don't they? And 3.5 is going to cover in most of those likely scenarios. AFC matchup. Texans have underperformed, but we know what CJ can be. We know what Joe Mixon can be. Can they do it here? Worth noting that the Chiefs do still have something to play for. That number 1 overall seed in the AFC is still up for grabs between them and the Bills. But this is a big game for the Texans too. They need to lock up the AFC South. Colts are kind of nipping at their heels. Would have helped if they could secure last week, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, not my favorite line in the world, but I appreciate it. 3.5 points. Say what you will. 3.5 points is 3.5 points.
I didn't love a lot of the other lines, and that, to be fair, like that's just kind of where I ended up. Like the Jets plus 3.5. I feel like the Jets are going to swing the other way. Like all these lines are just like Cowboys plus 4. Like, do we really think the Cowboys are going to be within a field goal? No.
It's been one of those, and the stats back it up. It's been a favorites year. If we were doing overdogs, which doesn't make a lot of sense. If we're doing overdogs, there are a lot more lines here that I like for whatever reason. Help us out, Vegas. People are betting these favorites and they're winning money. Come our way. Help us out a little bit. Why can't we get Commanders to plus 5.5 against the Eagles? Why is it 3.5?
Yeah. The Saints plus 14 is not an appetizing line for us. It's the Saints are so bad. Move it up to 17.5.
They just lost Alvin Kamara. What's Taysom Hill going to do? Take every snap?
Yeah, it's just been a tough one for the underdogs. But we still do this. We do this every year. We'll keep it going.
We persevere.
Yeah.
There are those that do and those that don't. We do.
All right, that's going to do it for our Week 16 Sound Up Seattle Value Dogs.